Well, hello and welcome to the Tao Manifesting Tarot. This is the most in depth tarot type of reading anywhere. Doesn't make any difference. This is the most critically thoughtful tarot reading on the internet, period. The Tao Manifesting Tarot. Yes, we want to get you to manifest. That is your kryptonite. Human imagination, making pictures inside of your own head from within inside you, not from the outside in, but from the outside going out. You start inside of you, you project out into the world, not the other way around. That's how you keep it strong. Tarot frequency is the destination of the reading and is the, I guess you can call it, steering factor in our life. Okay. In this reading, the Tao Manifesting Tarot reading, there's no fantasy, no rainbows, no unicorn imaging, no magical stuff. This is not imaginary thinking in the strictest sense of the word. The ultimate responsibility, I've done tarot for over 20 years, the ultimate responsibility with the tarot is you and I. Tarot is the science of our potential to create, our potential to imagine, our potential to manifest. Now, we're manifesting all the time anyway, but it's negative. I can't have this. I can't do this. I can't. And you end up getting can't. You go, well, uh, I guess I can't manifest. No, you're doing very well. But you're doing the manifesting just like people like John D. Rockefeller want you to. John D. Rockefeller was the rich man who still has his money, who said in the early 1900s, as he rearranged our educational system, the educational system we have today was based on what that bastard wanted. And what he wanted was people who didn't think, who simply did. He wanted workers. He wanted human doings, not human beings. What you do when you manifest is you become a human being. You tap into your frequency, that ability to manifest. You create into your kryptonite. You feed into it. That's why I can't do what most other tarot people do. This bullshit about fantasy and rainbows and magical stuff. There is no such thing. It's all science. We may not be able to put the parts and pieces together, but it's all science and it's all within you. It is given to you at birth, taken away from you as you got older. In fact, they've done studies. 5-year-olds have a tremendous amount of creative imagination. PhDs, almost none. Now, they've done 4 or 5 studies over the past 30 years or so to prove this. You get dumbed down just the way Rockefeller wanted us to do. Now, also separating this tarot reading from any other is the fact that I do big picture thinking. I put in numerology, I put in astrology. Because I've done them for over 50 years, they are the science of cycles. Tarot for 20 years, it is the science of potential. So we want to take a look at what is going on around us using the astrology. What's the feeling? What's the vibe? What's the history? And history repeats because the cycles in astrology repeat. That's what astrology and numerology are all about. Cycle within cycle within cycle within cycle within cycle. You got to kind of find the spot in the cycle and then project ahead. You're not going to get the same exact picture, but you're going to get the same exact energy. For example, 1776, Pluto was one place in the sky, Uranus in another place. We had a revolution. By the way, not too far down the road, a couple of years or so, French also had a revolution. So here we are, 250 years, because it takes Pluto 250 years to go around the sun. Uranus now has gone around 3, maybe 4 times, caught up with it. They're together. 2 years ago, 1 year ago, they were exactly in the same spot they were when we signed the Declaration of Independence. Take a look at what's going on in the world. We are fighting for our independence. No representation, right? Taxation, no representation. That was the big war cry in the revolution. Tell me, are our politicians giving a damn about us? Do they pay any attention to us? No. We're taxed to death, but we get no representation. It's the same thing, but different. This time, the world is up for grabs. So today, we take your kryptonite. That's the ability to manifest through tarot. That's the destination. That's our final stopping point. But we walk along the path given to us by numerology and astrology. Now, before I get into the astrological part of it, let me just quickly remind you here I have an email that you can contact me at. One email only. Tao-tarot at proton.me. Tao-tarot at proton.me. Stepping off the Gmail stuff, want to kind of separate from the system because I realize separation is the only way we're going to survive. Tao-tarot at proton.me. Thank you for responding. So let's get to it, huh? How about we do the proverbial astro stuff? Yeah. Very important astrologic. For the past couple of months, I started right around the 4th of July this year. I decided, since next year we're going to have our 250th birthday as the United States of America, if we are still in existence, we are going to celebrate 250 years as a kind of sort of republic, but definitely in change. So I decided to use astrology and go through our history. What I came up with is what you see there, the conquest of America. That's what this whole thing has been about. Conquering America. Who? The bankers. The bankers. The ones who have for centuries, for thousands of years, killed civilizations, empires, city states because of their greed. They were largely Jewish. In fact, if you go to the New Testament, there was only one time and one time only when Jesus goes crazy, goes apeshit, gets physical, violent. It's with the Jewish bankers in the temple. He was telling us stuff. But of course, it's the Bible, so who the hell pays attention to it? But it turns out, year after year after year, century after century after century, millennia after millennia, he was right. It's not just Jews, but it's mostly. They use something called usury. They charge you interest for loaning you money. What they end up doing is killing empires, killing cities, killing nation states. That's why in over 2,000 years, since the biblical times, Jews have been kicked out of countries more than 200 times, out of 200 countries, over 1,000 times. But out of 200, they can't settle anywhere because they cheat, lie, steal, and destroy. Just like Jesus said in the Old Testament, New Testament. He proved it. He showed it. But nah, it's the Bible, so who the hell cares? So since 1492, when the rich people made sure that Columbus had enough money, enough support to be able to come to this so-called new country, this new world, which was already inhabited, it has been the bankers pushing everything. Every war we've been involved in, every depression, every recession, they controlled it. In fact, Meyer Rothschild, the head of the Rothschild Empire, said in 1803, "You can do what you want with the government, just give me control of the economy." Now, what he did was use usury, but in 1700, Adam Smith came by and said, "You know what? We need to, this usury thing is getting us nowhere fast. How about if we change the name? Let's do a little marketing thing. Let's call it capitalism." So that's what they did. And the European Jew bankers tried to control the United States economy twice. Right after they established Wall Street, which was part of their scam, they came up with the Bank of the United States, First Bank. Had a 20-year run lease. They did another 20. After that second 20-year run, Andrew Jackson said no. They tried to kill him. They failed. Abraham Lincoln said, "I got two enemies. The people in the South, yes. My bigger enemy, the banks in the North. The European Jew bankers in the North were her biggest enemy. They got him. McKinley, they got because he was messing with the stuff." Finally, in, I think, the most important year in American history, 1913, after they sunk their opposition, they had 4 or 5 very, very rich people who were part of this whole Federal Reserve thing, and they said, no, we don't want a bank like that. We don't want a bank like that. We don't want it. What they did was they all loaded them up on the Titanic and then sunk the Titanic. Geez, opposition is gone. 1913, we get the Federal Reserve. Private people running our economy, just like Meyer Rothschild wanted. Immediately after they get the bank, they do the income tax because you got to have money to fund the bank. Immediately after that, they get women to work because you need more workers for more taxes. And immediately after that, we go into World War I, where they inflate the economy and then blow it up. We get the Depression. Coming out of World War II is a direct link between the Federal Reserve and the shithole we are right now. Things began to change humongously. But the most important turning point in the United States is when the Federal Reserve was set up, because we saw its power right immediately after World War II. So, yesterday we hit the 1950s. We're going to go today again, 1955 to 1960. For many people, this was called the Golden Age. We had the classic cars with all the chrome. We had rock and roll. Things were expanding. Things were exploding. It was exciting. We were at peace. Everybody was doing well. But you know what was going on behind the scenes? The deep state, make that the European bankers, they began to take over quietly. That's when the CIA and all the three-letter organizations were formed. They did stuff behind our backs. Oh, they smiled. Everything was great. The 50s were fabulous. The golden era of the United States of America. But the deep state was taking over very quietly. So I'm looking at the astrology and I go, why? Well, we see Neptune and Pluto in a very nice configuration, friendly configuration. But the interesting thing about the Neptune and Pluto in the late 1950s was they were almost getting ready to change signs. They were like 28, 29 of a particular sign, Libra and Leo. So within a very short period of time, they were going to both enter different signs. That would change everything. We weren't aware of it. We didn't see it. But the 50s set us up for generational control, lying, deceit. We're now seeing it. Can't believe it. But that's what was happening. Additionally, we had Saturn and Uranus in a nice configuration. So we were moving forward very, very quickly, very easily, but everything was underhanded. We were, without knowing it, confronting generational change. We were on the verge. Because, like I said, some of these planets were on the verge of changing signs. The 60s would be radically different, but we didn't see that in the 50s. However, that's exactly where the deep state was going, and they didn't say a damn thing about it. On the verge of generational change. Yes, the hippies, which, by the way, Hopi Indians predicted as one of the signs of the end times. Literally, they predicted that the young people would grow their hair, they would get close to the earth, and they would grow their faith. Tell me, peace and love in the 60s, that pretty much said it. Somewhere we lost it, but that's the deep state. Let's move on to the meme of the day. Talk about the deep state. You're looking at one of the buildings from 9/11, and what are we looking at? A fingerprint. Oh, if you look at 9/11, you're going to see this fingerprint all over the place. Again, the deep state lies and manipulates, and it all came together in the 1950s. By the way, 1950s, you could say numerologically was a 5 year, so a 5 is always in the middle of the 1 and a 9. That means change. There was change, but we didn't see it. Times were good. Times were good. We had rock and roll. We had Chevys. Life was good. Missing link, sticking with the same thing, 9/11. Remember, one of the destructed areas was the Pentagon? Something slammed through the Pentagon. Oh, look, it left a nearly perfect circular exit hole. That's because people who observed it said, no, it wasn't a plane, it was a missile. Again, the deep state mischief at our back door, and nobody's noticing because nobody wants to. God, we came through such good times. Our government wouldn't do that to us. Yes, they would in a heartbeat. So let's go to the tarot. This is our destination. This is the energy. This is our ability to manifest. What are we looking at? Five of Cups. Right now, a lot of us are detached, living in the past. We're still back in the 1950s. The chrome cars, the rock and roll, the affluence of the 50s. But we're living in the past. It ain't that way anymore. We have detached from our emotional stability. Next up, Queen of Pentacles, searching for stability and trustworthiness. But if we're living in the past, we're not going to find either of those. But that's what our heart wants. We have to detach, quit living in the past, find a value system that is stable and trustworthy. And in the end, we got the Sun card, illumination and clarity. If we keep trying, if we keep detaching from the bullshit from the past, the lies from the past, we will find our stable, dependable value system, and that will open up doors. Question is, can we do it? It's not going to be the same way. That's what makes it tough for people. For America to survive to its 250th anniversary, it's going to have to be different. It's going to have to be smaller, more independent, stronger. It's going to have to totally change. Are we up to it? Time is up. Thank you very much. I appreciate you being here every day. I realize this is a tough message. It's a hard-hitting message, but it's taking tarot to a more honest, real, potent situation. Thanks for coming along. Please like and subscribe. It's very, very important. They're messing with the network now. They're messing with the internet. You are the saving grace. In a small way, you can make a huge difference. Between now and the next time you and I get together and do this tarot thing, blessings.